What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, and in this video, we're going to be going over how different anime characters from a large variety of animes would survive in the infinite hallway scenario. More specifically, the infinite hallway scenario from Chainsaw Man. Now, no need to worry, you don't have to see Chainsaw Man to understand this. All you need to know is these characters are going to be stuck in a hallway. The hallway is a monster, but it also is like an infinite loop. And I'll explain a lot of other stuff later, but you don't need to see Chainsaw Man to understand what's going on. Let's dive into the video. Okay, so before we get into all these scenarios, I need to go over the rules and basically what the scenario is. Long story short, you're in a hotel. There's a hallway. If you walk into one of the rooms, it's going to be a room with a window. If you go through the window, it will take you to the room on the other side of the hallway, trapping you. You cannot leave from the rooms. If you try and go up the stairs, either down or up, it will always bring you back to the hallway you started on. So, an infinite hallway, you're stuck in this hallway. Also, this hallway is a monster. Technically, it's a demon from Chainsaw Man. But I'm going to refer to it as a monster because, like I said, I want this video to be watchable by people who have not seen Chainsaw Man. Because this video is not about Chainsaw Man, it's about the infinite hallway. So, yes. And long story short, we're going to get groups of 6 characters, because that's how many happen to be in Chainsaw Man. And we're going to get from each from animes, and we're going to see if they survive and like what their plan would probably be, judging by what characters are there. And I'm going to tend to just pick like the most main characters from each anime. And so let's talk about how they even would try and get out. One thing that they're going to worry about is food and rations. Technically, they could stay in this hallway for a very long time. So, and remember, the hallway is technically inside a monster, but it just looks like a normal hallway. And they're going to be able to find backpacks around the hallway, and from people who stay at the hotel before it was a monster. And if inside the backpacks there's food and rations, and they need to conserve that. So hopefully, you get people who, won't hog all the food for themselves, because there's a limited amount of food. Also, I do need to mention that we will be taking some of the logic from Chainsaw Man, just because we need some logic, and how it will work. The monster will let them out of the hallway if they end up, but they have to sacrifice one of the 6 members. So there's also going to be the question of, will, one of the characters just be okay with sacrificing themselves or someone else? So no one, another rule that I'm going to add, and this was kind of in the show, kind of not, is it's going to be, if they do choose to sacrifice someone, it can't be the character wanting to sacrifice themselves. The only way for them to get out by sacrificing someone is the majority of characters out of the 6 need to agree on someone to sacrifice. I'm adding that rule because I think that'll make it more interesting and better. And we might not even run into it. So, who knows? And these are the rules. This is the layout. And let's get started. Our first anime we are going to be picking from is My Hero Academia. The 6 characters that will be stuck in this hallway are the most main characters from the anime, and that is Izuku Midoriya, Katsuki Bakugo, Shoujo Todoroki, All Might, Tenyaida, and Uchako Uraraka. Those will be the 6 characters on our journey today. So, first, let's talk about how are they going to get out of this thing, because that's the main question. So, first off, this monster is very strong, and you would need a lot of power to defeat it. But, I have faith in these. That they might be able to stand a chance, but okay, let's talk about it. So, first off, once they get in there, the monster's gonna be like, hey, so, you guys want to do the sacrifice? They won't do the sacrifice. All 5 of these characters are honorable. 5. Yes, the Katsuki Bakugo, he'll sacrifice one of them. And that's not really a good thing, of course, because he's a little crazy, but he would very easily sacrifice one of them. But like I said, it has to be majority of vote to sacrifice someone, and, it's like a 5-to-1, so they can't really sacrifice someone. So then it's how are you going to get out? Well, an option that isn't really even in Chainsaw Man, but is just waiting it out. I will give waiting it out a possible option to get out of this scenario. Only thing is, can they? That's a good question. Well, see, for waiting it out, it mainly comes down to food. Like I said, there's a very limited number of food. Because of that, what they're going to need to do is, they need someone who's smart enough to buy the food, but then at the same time, they need characters with, self-control to not hog the food for themselves, or eat more food than they should. First off, they have Tenya Ida, so I think he'll be able to cover the situation of, organizing the food, so they don't run out. But then you have the question of Katsuki Bakugo. Will he just eat everyone's food? Because of him, I can't really decide. Because, he is tough enough where he could go without eating much food, but at the same time, he's, stern enough where I feel like he wouldn't care and want to eat the food anyway. So he's a character that I think could go a long time without much food, but I don't think he would. So that's the weird part about that. So I'm not crazy confident they'd survive the really long amount of time because of the fact that I think there's a chance Katsuki Bakugo just eats all the food. Which isn't good. Also, you need people with a lot of patience. Katsuki Bakugo does not have a lot of patience. So, but there's also another option of getting out. And that's just killing the monster. Periodic, every once in a while they're in this scenario, the monster can come out and you'll be like, hey, do you want to kill someone? And you'll get out. Well, when he does that, they can go in him, jump at him and attack him, and they can try and kill him. But, this guy's super strong. So do they have, enough power? And the answer is yes, and spoiler warning, that's how they're getting out. They are very strong. Insanely strong. Like I said, you got, All Might, Katsuki Bakugo, Shoto, Midori. You got all the strong guys here. They could very easily destroy this thing, even though he's very strong. Again, he's not easy. So, because of that, the answer is yes, the My Hero Academia characters could get out of the infinite hallway by killing the monster. Okay, the next anime characters we will be having in this infinite hallway, Black Clover. The characters that we will be having will be Asta, Noelle, Yuno, Luck, Magma, and Finral. Those are the 6 characters that we are choosing for this experiment. So, let's get started. First off, will they make the exchange, sacrifice some? No, they're all very honorable people. Also, they're all kind of good friends, so they wouldn't just sacrifice someone. No matter what, they'd rather die. So, I mean, that couldn't happen, and yeah. And it's will they be able to, just wait it out? No, they won't. 2 reasons. First, like I said, you need someone with intelligence on board, really high intelligence, to be able to manage the food properly so you don't starve. And now, I'm not saying anyone's dumb in this group, but there's no one here that's exceptionally smart. So I don't think they'd be able to manage their food properly. They'd probably run out and starve. Another reason the food thing wouldn't work is just patience. Since we have Luck and Magma here, neither of them would be able to be patient enough. Now, I understand they don't really have a choice, but, I feel like they would just try and fight the monster on their own, or something. They would freak out, and I just don't think Luck and Magma would have enough patience. So, patience and intelligence, not really in this group. So, okay. We still have another option. Can they kill the thing? Maybe. I want you to know that if you have seen Chainsaw Man, you're probably yeah, they could kill that thing. But, again, it's not we're not trying to be super direct from Chainsaw Man. So, the monster here is going to be stronger than the one in Chainsaw Man. If you've seen Chainsaw Man, it took 3 days to kill that thing. So, it's a really strong monster. So, in this scenario, it's a lot stronger than it actually is. Because that, I don't know if they could kill the thing, because in my mind, I have I can picture how strong it is. I don't think they can do it, sorta. I think there's a maybe. Just a maybe. Kind of on the last one, how I was I don't know if they'd be able to do the food thing because of Kacchan. So this little part here is also kind of just like a maybe. I don't really know. Because this monster isn't, from anything, I can't really compare it to them. Well, so maybe. But I think you would run into the problem of the only character in the group that I think could do this, like killing the monster, is Asta. And that is because he specifically has swords, 2 of them, that he can just kind of hack and slash inside of it, which is kind of what they did in Chainsaw Man. And I feel like he might be able to do that, but I feel like chainsaws work better and the monster stronger, so I feel like it would take even longer than 3 days. And like I said, they already have a food problem and a patience problem. So I don't really think they would manage to kill this thing. And again, this version of it is just a lot stronger than the one in Chainsaw Man, in this hypothetical. So you're probably kind of worried for the, Black Bulls and squad. Like, oh no, what's going to happen to them? Well, my friend, and this is my hypothetical, and I'm allowed to make the rules. And I could be like, I could say this, the thing I'm about to say wouldn't work. And, you might think it's kind of cheating. I don't think it's cheating. They have Finral. And if you know anything about good old Finral, portals, man, he had portals like crazy. He would just portal them out of there, bing ba boom, they'd be saved. And they would get out very fast. So I did a lot of talking, basically to just say, they'd get out immediately. Finral would be like, portal out here. So, to answer the question, can, the Black Clover characters get out of the infinite hallway? Yes. Yes, they can, because of Finral. Now, if you don't think Finral should count, or Finral's just not there, in a different hypothetical, then they are doomed. So, like I said, it's a hypothetical, so you're allowed to look at it however you want. This isn't just me. Comment down below if you have your own opinions. So, but in my opinion, I think Finral would be able to use his portals in this situation. Because of that, they would get out very easily. So, that's the whole deal with the Black Clover characters. Next anime we are moving on to is Spy Family. Okay, so, like, usual, let's start with what characters do we have? Obviously, we have Lloyd Forger, Anya Forger, and the Mother Assassin. The other 3 are Scruffy Head, Mother Assassin's brother, and the lady in the cool hat. So these are our 6 characters. Sorry if their names are not descriptive enough. I don't know their names, so I hope you can understand who I mean. Sorry about that. Really. But moving on to, would they sacrifice someone? And usually I'd say no for most anime characters, but this time we actually got something to talk about. You gotta just write it off as, no, they're they're too honorable. They wouldn't do something like that. But you understand that, mainly talking about the parents, Lloyd, and the, Mother Assassin, they're an assassin and a spy. The spy was trained to kill people. The assassin does it for a living. They both kill people for a living. I don't really think they have a high moral. But the only people with them are, pretty close companions. But, the reason I don't think that would matter is because they are family. So they are very family-oriented. They love each other. And I think Lloyd and Assassin Mother would do anything for their family. And because of that, they didn't even sacrifice someone. Now, like I said, it has to be the majority vote, but Cool Hat Lady, I mean, she's very serious and, as well, kills people for a living. So, I think she'd be on board for sacrificing someone. Scruffy Head would probably be like, I don't think this is a good idea. And then Assassin Mother's brother, he'd be like, yeah, family all the way. I love my sister, and yeah, who are we sacrificing to get out of here? So, these are the questions, so who's going to get sacrificed? Well, it's probably going to be between Cool Hat Lady and Scruffy Head. See, my thing is, I don't know if we could convince Anya. I mean, Anya won't kill Scruffy Head. And I don't really know if Anya would really be okay with killing anybody. We just need, get a decent chunk of people to like vote out someone. So what's going on? Well, I would probably say that it would be Cool Hat Lady. And you might think, wait, we're voting out the Cool Hat Lady? Yeah, I think that would happen. I think that she'd get really mad about it and be like, Lloyd, you voted me out? I'm your superior. But, like, again, Lloyd would do anything for his family, and he does not technically have that much of an emotional attachment to this character, especially compared to everyone else. So, do you think he'd pick her? Assassin Mother definitely doesn't have any connection to her. Neither does Anya. Neither does really anyone here. Because, like, Lloyd knows her really well, and they've worked together for a long time. But he's, like, the only connection here. And that's not even, like, a strong connection. So I think we kill the Cool Hat Lady. So she'd die. And, like, it'd suck that she's dead now, but they'd get out. I think no matter how the votes would rearrange, I think it'd go back to always killing her. So, she is dead. But let's look at the other options while we're here. So, food and survival. Could they do that? Yes. Again, Master Mother Assassin. Master Spy. Oh, and brother of Assassin Mother is, very, like, works with the government and stuff. And I guess if Cool Hat Lady is still here, then she would also be, able to do this as well, because she also is like a spy lady. Anya, no, she would be the weak link in this situation, but her parents can literally force her, I believe. So, Scruffy Head would also be a weak link, but we would probably just threaten him to vote him out if he didn't. This is because I don't really think they care about his feelings too much. So, they could very easily do this. Like, I'm very confident, mainly because of the fact that I bet you 4 of the characters could do it easily. They, like, assassins, government workers, spies. I mean, they can do something like that. Survive days with barely eating. It doesn't sound as good when I say it like that, but you get my point. So they could do that, but again, like, I don't think they would want to. When I say days, I don't really have a specific time, but, like, this could be anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. That's a long time to be in there. You might want to just go ahead, kick the bucket, or you might want to make Cool Hat Lady kick the bucket. So, I'd say that would be what happened. I think they could easily survive the time, but I think they would still rather kill Cool Hat Lady, because, like I said, 2 weeks to 2 months, that's a long time. I also don't think they would be able to kill the monster at all. They would lose so terribly. Unlike our other choices, they are regular humans. Yeah, they might have some cool weapons and a lot of experience behind their back. They have no magic or superpowers to help them out. They're just humans, meaning the monster can kill them easily. That's not really an option. So, yeah, our first group of characters to choose the sacrifice option. These guys can just sacrifice Cool Hat Lady, bing ba boom, be on their merry way. Kind of fun that they chose this. Next anime will be Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Side note, all the animes I'm mentioning I have seen, and I love every single one of them. Moving on. So, like always, who are our characters? David, Rebecca, Lucy, Fingers, and David's mother. You might be wondering, why did I choose Fingers or David's mom over other more prominent characters? I don't know. I don't have a reason. I just picked these guys. Okay. So, how are we doing this thing? So, would they sacrifice anyone? Let's think. They'll sacrifice someone. Problem with sacrificing someone that you don't really think about. That is, these characters are from the, cyberpunk world and stuff, which is a world where you trust no one. And I think they would all stand true to that here and just turn on everybody's backs. I understand there's a lot of respect involved, they have respect for each other, and, they're like a good team in their cruel world, right? But, like, they'd probably turn on each other if it was like, hey, if they were given the option, okay? Usually they're not given the option, but here right now they're like, here's an option. They could be like, hey, betray someone, one person, or die, basically. So, they take it. And, so a few things with the voting, though. I don't think Rebecca would vote out Fingers, because he's her brother, so that probably wouldn't happen. Also, David and Lucy are very close and would not vote out each other. So, because of that, who's voting out who? Well, I actually think that, like I said, since all of them... Oh, I forgot about David's mom. So she also would not vote out. So, my point is, David's mom would probably just be okay with her being the sacrifice. But David probably wouldn't be okay with that. But everyone else would. Here's the weird part of David's mom. Like, David's mom would be like, I don't want to be the sacrifice. But she still has to get the other people to vote for her. And I think that'd be difficult to, get enough votes when I don't think 2 people would even vote for her. Out of the 5, because you have, you have David. David's not going to vote out his own mother. And then you have Lucy, who likes David so much, she's not going to vote out her boyfriend's mom. It kind of would put a damper on their relationship, wouldn't you think? It'd be a little hard to stay together after that, after she just, votes out his mom. So I don't really think she'd be getting voted out either. You might be like, okay, who's going to get voted out then? I actually think no one. Because they wouldn't be able to decide. Remember, you need like a general consensus on who's going to get voted out to be sacrificed. I don't think they could do it. I don't think they could agree on anybody. They would always be like, you this, you that, whatever. Because no one's going to get voted out. All this talk about who's getting voted out. But, the interesting part is it's not for the reason you think, though. That's the neat part. It's not like no one's getting voted out because they all have a good moral. They don't have a good moral. They have such a bad moral that no one, it's too, they can't make up their minds on who to vote out. Because they all want someone to get voted out. It's weird. But, okay, so if voting out's out of the question, sacrifice, who's, can they do the just waiting it out? Great question. Well, no, they can't. Patience? I bet you none of them got it. No one here looks like they have good patience. Especially Rebecca. She does not look like she's a very patient person. So she is probably doesn't have much patience. And, food. Their city and environment is, filled with food kind of everywhere, I feel like, where they would be so not used to not eating. Yeah, they might be used to eating trash, but they're still used to eating something. I feel like they wouldn't, be able to handle not eating food. And Rebecca, I could just see Rebecca being a problem here. I just don't think they would end up doing it. Okay. Could they kill the thing? Now, they got a lot better chance than Spy Family characters did, okay? Because they got way more powerful guns, and they got cyberware. Like David, he's got the thing on his back that's, slow motion moving, which would help out a lot, but they are still getting demolished for the same reason Spy Family did. Yeah, they have cyberware, and they're stronger, but again, if it's only a maybe for literal mages from Black Clover, it's not good. Normal humans do not stand a chance, even if they are cyberwared up. So they're dying. So after all of that, my opinion is the cyberpunk Edgerunners characters could not survive the infinite hallway situation. They would either die of starvation or find some other way to kill themselves. Side note, should have mentioned this earlier. Remember how they're inside the monster kind of? He can just change how the orientation. He can put stuff upside down, stuff. That won't really affect them. They just might be sitting on the ceiling sometimes. I just wanted to bring it up. I don't know, might spice things up. But point is, Cyberpunk Edgerunners characters, unfortunately, did not make the cut. And they are our first group not to survive. So, that sucks. Okay, our final anime that we will be doing is Horimiya. And you will, if you know the anime, you know how it's going to go. We're honestly not even going out with a bang. I don't really know why I put it in this order, but I did. So, Horimiya. I'm not going to say every character's specific name. Just the main group of friends from the show. The main 6 characters, because there's already 6, around 6. It also doesn't matter, because usually it does, because they have different superpowers. Not in this situation. They could have everyone from the show, I think. I think they're kind of screwed, though. Let's just start. Sacrifice? Yeah, they're too loyal to sacrifice. Which does suck. They won't sacrifice anyone. I know they won't. which that was their only way out, and they blew it. Oh no. Okay. Well, now we gotta think. Could we last there? And no, they cannot. And like because there's just a normal human could not do this. I don't think could survive. The only reason characters have survived, like could wait it out probably, is because of some specific thing. Superpower, personality. But there's no personalities here. There's no superpowers. There's no skills here that would help them really. Yeah, they're smart and can organize the food well, but I don't know if they have good patience. And even if they did organize the food well, that's also still maybe if they could do that in the first place. So they can't really do that. And again, a group of 6 high school students couldn't defeat a monster that has them trapped in a loop, a hallway loop. So they're just gonna get slaughtered to bits if they try fighting the thing. So there's no winning here. I know it's a sad ending to the video. I don't even know why I put it as an option. I'm too far into it to really stop. But yeah, this, romance anime with, high school students isn't doing well against the monster. So, that's that. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video. I hope you loved it, because I know I did. Helps out more than you can imagine if you could like and subscribe. Again, helps out a ton. I hope you guys love this video, because I love ranting about animes. Peace out, everyone.